Hi, welcome to our presentation for the Symposium Preventing Data Flows 2.0. We're going to tell you something about the threats and possible solutions of the rising seawater level in Nantong, China. This presentation is presented to you by Oscar Small, Dani Ortega, Suleiman Elamdi, Bassem El Jazi, Isra Shkiar, and me, Ruben Fernandez. We're going to tell you something about the collaboration with the students of the University of Nantong, the current situation of the Nantong area and city, the current and upcoming threats of the rising seawater, the possible solutions, and our chosen solution. The chosen solution is presented to you by the students of the Nantong University. The last few weeks we have worked together on this project in collaboration with six students of the University of Nantong. We were able to make this presentation via Teams meetings. Nantong is a big industrial city with over 7 million inhabitants. The city is located near China's biggest river, the Yangtze River. Due to climate change, there is less sedimentation from the river and there is more erosion alongside the Nantong coastline. The city is provided with important infrastructure and big seaports. There are seawalls installed at the beach to prevent flooding. Also, there are embankments installed alongside the Yangtze River. In the south of the area is the Qidong Yangtze Estuary Wetland Nature Reserve, which the inhabitants would like to remain the same. First, we are going to tell you something about the threats in Nantong. Because of the large amount of CO2 emissions, the sea level is rising.
By choosing our solutions, we've also looked at the threats who are currently in that are currently in Nantong. One of these threats are the different heights of sea level rise, as you can see in this picture in front of you. On the left picture, you can see the different height with 5 meter, in the middle one the 20 meter, and the right one the 50 meters. You can also see the consequences these different heights have on Nantong itself. So based on these threats, we've chosen our solutions. The possible solutions we've come up with and looked into are the sand replenishment, sluices, space for rivers, reef balls, dikes and dunes, and allow controlled floods in specific areas. These solutions should prevent the threats um, in Nantong. The first one is the sand replenishment. Sand replenishment is a process by which sediment, usually sand, it can also be a different soil or different type of base, gets lost through longshore drift or erosion and is replaced from other sources. Of course, these kind of solutions also have pros and cons. The pros of this sand replenishment is that it provides storm protection and broadens the coast. Besides this, these are the pros. And besides the pros, the cons of this solutions is that it's very expensive and you have to repeat it quite a lot because the sand moves a lot because of the wind and the waves. So it has to be repeated very short after it's done. The added sand can erode due to storms or lack of upward sand sources. Yeah, that's also not a con. The second solution we come up with is the sluices. Are sluices. What is a sluice? A sluice is a channel that's controlled and regulated by gates. Sluices are solutions that are frequently used all over the world. It's a solution that's already been used like a lot in the Netherlands and also other big cities around the world. Um, the pros of the sluice are it's storm protected and brothers the coast also, but it's very expensive and all seaports need to be renovated. Drastic change of natural environment, the sea and the rivers are separated, and so on and so on. So sluices have more cons than pros, and that's why this solution is probably not the best one. The third solution we come up with is the more space for river. This solution is already being used in the Netherlands, and it's a very big success in the Netherlands. What is it? With the more space for the rivers program? There's more space being created for rivers by adjusting the properties of the river. Um, Pro of the solution is that in times of extreme high water, have to be afraid of fluids. The river has much more space to flow into. So there's more room for the space to go in, and that's why with extreme high water, it cannot harm the buildings and villages around it, around the river. For the strategy, you need more land, and this land is being needed for the program. It cannot be used for anything else. That's a big con of this solution.
Dikes and dunes. This is a solution using only soils, sand, and in the Netherlands we use clay. Dikes are for inland, uh, where we use sand for in the body, and for the outer layer we use clay or a different soil that won't let water infiltrate in the dike. And near the coast we use dunes, which only contains sand. They're a lot broader. Yeah, so dikes and dunes are an artificial elevation that protects the land behind against high water and waves. Pros are that there is no hard construction needed, which is cheaper, and this results in that it's upgradable whenever you want. So if the water levels rise, you can heighten the dikes and dunes. And another big pro is that the ports stay accessible, and the Yangtze River can remain connected to the sea, so that the vessels don't have to wait for sluices, and natural sedimentation transport will continue. Some cons are that it has a chance of failure, so good calculation and monitoring is required. It takes a lot of space because the higher you make the dikes and dunes, the broader dikes and dunes will become. And the quay walls in the ports have to get heightened because the sea level rise will make a higher water level in the ports. So you have to adjust the quay walls to that level rise. Another solution, it's not a very common one, but it's a nice one to think about, is a water peak storage. This prevents the water courses from overflowing, or in the worst case, the quays from breaking through due to high water levels. It is necessary to realize peak storage. So the idea is that you reserve an area of land which can flood in times of high water levels. Um, so you open the dike, and the water can flow in there. The pros are that the river will still be accessible for vessels, and you can control the flood instead of fighting against it. So when the water level rises, you can let it flood, so the water level will decrease again. But this is only for river floods and not for rising sea levels. Some cons are that the design of some areas need to change temporarily, and existing buildings need to be removed. And another con is that in times of high water, you cannot use the area. The last possible solution are reef balls. Reef balls are newer invention. Reef balls are big hollow concrete balls meant to form an artificial reef. And diameters vary between 18 centimeters and 1.5 meter. Some pros are that they are quite easy to move to other locations if required. It has a lot of customization options. It has an expected increase in flora and fauna, and it prevents coastal erosion because the sand will remain in the balls and will not be transported because of currents. Some cons are that it must be placed in shallow waters, so only for near the coast and not in deeper waters. And due to the amount of fish that artificial reef attract, there are concerns by many that it could lead to overfishing. And the last con is that if an artificial reef site is not chosen correctly, it can cause damage to the marine life and other reefs in the close vicinity.
Okay, thank you for your introduction. According to your suggestions, we have put forward several reliable measures to deal with the flood in Nantong. We will introduce them to you. This picture shows sedimentation transport direction in Nantong, which is transported to the area where site may be eroded. Therefore, we can believe that there is a dynamic balance between the loss and the replenishment of the site. But there are also some disadvantages, such as the erosion of the site artificially added by us, or due to the destruction of groundwater circulation. The sediment will no longer flow into the sea naturally by rain, which will lead to the lack of upward side source supply. From the present sediment transport direction in Nantong area, we don't need to worry about this situation. Therefore, it is feasible to use the site to widen the coastline.
This is the distribution map of our main sources in Nantong. Our existing sources are as follows. This is the Lushi Lock, and here is the Haozhi Port Gate and the Rain Constant Gate, and that is Xiyu Port Gate. We all know that there are many sluices and dams in Nantong and the Yangtze River Delta, but relatively speaking, the dam will affect biodiversity more, while the sluice will be better. The advantage of sluice is that the water level of river can be adjusted, and no further measures need to be taken inland. The disadvantages of sluice are as follows. The first one is it is very expensive. The second, there is no natural coastline. The third one is the sea and the river are separated and the lack of connection. The fourth is the removal of wetlands will harm many species. The last one is there are many ships waiting during busy hours in large ports. The sluice should not be closed all the time because of the rise of sea level. Because we have many large ports, so we should weigh the time of opening and closing the sluice from the perspective of economy, so that we can protect our own safety and promote economic development.
I'll talk the solution about widening the width of the river inlet. This picture is the river renovation planning map. We can see the blue part is the original river and the white part is the widened channel. One of our plans is to build a lowland when water level rises. It can flow in here. These parts of flood plans will be demolished to smooth the river. In addition, obstacles such as digs and buildings also needed to be removed to make more room for this river. The advantage of this solution is that it will increase the flow space and buff the flow. When the sea level rises, the water level of the estuary does not rise sharply, and the water flows smoothly into the river. This avoids the disaster caused by the rapid rush of water towards the land. But the project will open up land around the estuary and occupy a curtain area. And this area cannot be used for other purposes, so its land use forms are single. Moreover, the widening of estuaries results in slower water flow and easier sedimentation of sediment in the water. Over time, it can cause the riverbed to lift up because of sediment deposition. That's our solutions introduction. Just a quick summary. On the one hand, we will expand and repair the existing sluices. On the other hand, we will also plan to widen the river to prevent disasters caused by the rising sea levels. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much from the students of Nantong University for presenting our solutions to prevent delta floods in Nantong, China. There are a few additions to be made clear. And that's that the sea will stay connected to the Yangtze River, which will be good for sedimentation transport from the Yangtze River downwards to the sea. So it adds sand naturally to the beaches. So the natural sedimentation transport will stay intact. And another big advantage is that the vessels can enter the Yangtze River without waiting times. Also, the flora and fauna will stay intact because the nature will just stay the way it was. The sluices near the ports will be renovated, restored, and we have to make sure that the dikes along the Yangtze River will get sufficient height so that when the sea level rises, the inland in Nantong will stay protected against the higher sea level.